Hi guys. So, because you're watching this and it's Friday, it means that I am absent for a second day. Due to my jury duty, I got called back to the courthouse for a second day. I hope to be in school on Monday. We'll plan on that happening. If not, we'll deal with it as it comes up. But I wanted to make you this video to kind of do some of the mini lesson work that I would normally do with you if I were there. So here we go. Let's take a look at our agenda. Let's talk about homework first. I think you already know this, but your homework is to do your independent reading, 30 minutes. You now are doing a detailed reading log instead of doing annotations. Working on your poetry more is optional. Make sure you do at least 15 minutes of reading. The other 15 minutes could be poetry. Of course, you can read for 30 minutes and work on poetry for an hour. You can do reading and poetry for 4 hours. The homework requirements are always the minimums. Let's talk a little bit about what a detailed reading log means. Your reading logs should have 6 basic components in them. Please make sure that you put the title of the book you're reading. Please make sure you put the date that you're logging, the particular evening or day that this homework is counting for and on which it is happening. Please make sure you put the page number of the page you started reading at, and the page number of the page you stopped reading at, and as well the time that you started reading and the time that you stopped reading. That way I know what you're reading, I know how much you're reading, both in terms of minutes and in terms of pages. Alright, back to our agenda. Getting poetry organized on Google Drive. This is pretty simple. I would like everybody to have a poetry document in their English assignment folder on Google Drive where you put all of the poems you write throughout this entire unit. So if the first couple things you've worked on, if they're maybe scattered around on paper, on different Google Docs, please take time today or tonight to put everything in one central location in your English assignment folder so I can see it and offer you feedback. Alright, moving on to today's mini lesson. We've talked about writing copycat poems, and we've written one based on William Carlos Williams' poem. We've talked about writing poems about nature scenes and including imagery that has the 5 senses in it, but also how a scene or a moment or a place feels. And today we're going to talk about writing poems based on strong emotions. Both of the poems I'm going to share with you today are based on the same strong emotion, and that is love. But one of the poems is really quite sad, and the other poem is happy and sweet and kind of romantic. Even though both of these poems are about love, neither of these poems is cliched. There's something fresh and new and exciting and interesting and even a little weird or unexpected about both poems. If you know the word cliche, you know it means something that's sort of expected, overused, obvious, to the point where, especially when you're talking about emotions and an emotion like love, it's sort of sentimental or even sappy. So neither of these poems have that, and I think it's a really important goal for you when you try writing poems about strong emotions, that you avoid cliche as well. The first poem that I'm going to share with you today, the sad poem about love, is by a poet who's very special to me, one of my favorites, W.H. Auden. And I've got a sort of a special book that has this poem in it, so I thought I'd make a little video to introduce the poem to you. One of the poems we're going to read together today is by one of my absolute favorite poets. His name is W.H. Auden. He was a British poet. W.H. stands for Wystan Hugh. And this is my wife's copy of one of Auden's books, Another Time by W.H. Auden. And I actually bought this for her back in college when we had just started dating as a present. I found it in a used bookstore in London, and it's a very, very early copy of sort of the original printing of this book. So it's sort of cool, sort of a little piece of history as well as a piece of poetry. The book's called Another Time, and we're going to look for the poem called Funeral Blues. There it is, page 91. Lots of amazing poems in this book. And this is the originally published book of poetry, so it's not like a later collection. Auden wrote all these poems around the same time period, and then sort of that year put out a new book of all the new poems he'd written. So it's not sort of a collection of greatest hits after the fact. So here's Funeral Blues, and I'll switch to a still image of it so we can read it together. Now, for obvious reasons, you won't be able to do our usual routine of marking up the poem, but let's have everybody take a minute just to read the poem silently to yourself. Okay, I'm going to read the poem out loud, so you can hear the sound. It just makes a little more sense in a video than asking one of you to read it out loud, which I would not be able to hear and wouldn't be able to know when you're done. So, Funeral Blues. Stop all the clocks, cut off the telephone, prevent the dog from barking with a juicy bone. Silence the pianos, and with muffled drum bring out the coffin. Let the mourners come. Let aeroplanes circle, moaning overhead, scribbling on the sky the message, he is dead. Put crape bows round the white necks of the public doves. Let the traffic policemen wear black cotton gloves. He was my north, my south, my east and west, my working week and my Sunday rest, my noon, my midnight, my talk, my song. I thought that love would last forever. I was wrong. The stars are not wanted now. Put out every one. Pack up the moon and dismantle the sun. Pour away the ocean and sweep up the woods, for nothing now can ever come to any good. The happier poem is by a poet named E. E. Cummings, who you might have heard of, actually. He's really popular, and just by glancing at this poem, you can probably already see that he loves to play with the appearance of poems. He doesn't use capital letters, and kind of the shape of the poem on the page, and the punctuation, they're all really they're important with every poem, but they're especially notable in E. E. Cummings' work. So here's I Carry Your Heart With Me. Let's again take a moment to read it silently. Okay, I'll read it out loud, just like with the other one. I Carry Your Heart With Me by E. E. Cummings. I carry your heart with me. I carry it in my heart. I am never without it. Anywhere I go, you go, my dear. And whatever is done by only me is your doing, my darling. I fear no fate, for you are my fate, my sweet. I want no world, for beautiful you are my world, my true. And its you are whatever a moon has always meant, and whatever a sun will always sing is you. Here is the deepest secret nobody knows. Here is the root of the root, and the bud of the bud, and the sky of the sky of a tree called life, which grows higher than soul can hope or mind can hide. And this is the wonder that's keeping the stars apart. I carry your heart. I carry it in my heart. So if you want to take another look at either of those poems, you can easily Google them. It's Funeral Blues by W.H. Auden, or I Carry Your Heart by E. E. Cummings. The plan for today is you're going to go ahead right now and write an emotion poem. Doesn't have to be about love. You can choose another strong emotion to write a poem about. And your main goal is just to write something and to avoid cliche. Find some interesting way to to try and write about a strong emotion. And then, and this is how the whole unit's going to work, once you've done kind of the assignment, you've got some freedom. You could go back and try one of the techniques we've worked on before and try it again. You could go back to one of the poems you've already started working on and continue working on it. Or you can just try something brand new. Write whatever you want, whatever kind of poetry you want, whatever technique or strategy you want to try out. Just let your mind go and get some stuff down. And please make sure this all happens, again, in a poetry document, a single doc in your English assignment folder on Google Drive. And if I've got the time this weekend, I'll take a look at the work that you accomplished today and maybe even offer you some feedbacks and comments that I would normally sort of, talk to you about in class if I were there. And have a great weekend, and I hope to see you all on Monday.